to join us, to be here physically, because I do think seeing it is very different than me always talking about it. And I do hope yesterday what you were able to get an appreciation for is the quality of the brand expression here, the quality of the assets, the uniqueness, approach, attention to detail that goes into store design, making it locally relevant to the community, the strength of the educator and the store management team. All these things are important when you're in a super growth organization to make sure you're building the culture, building the talent as you're equally building the volume of the business. And hopefully you got a sense yesterday. We're really energized about the people that Senyen, Eric continue to recruit, develop, and have interacting with our guests, and had a chance to see the mixture of portfolio from traditional mall-based stores to local community to obviously Kerry Center, more of our traditional flagship store. As well, the World Mental Health Day execution, which was one of a few of the larger activations that we do in this region. We kick off with a run event in the spring. We do summer sweat games in the summertime, and then the World Mental Health Day this time of year. And thousands will go through that booth, the museum that you saw. They will participate in live sweat events, both recovery, training, and yoga. And it's just one of many ways in which we are building the community, the relationships, and the uniqueness of this brand. And I do think that foundation is so incredibly important. And it's one of the big differentiators that I see being, I guess, a Western brand building our business here is, could we go quicker? Sure. I think I've said that to many of you. We could go quicker in any of our international markets, but we choose not to because we believe building that foundation is critical. It's what differentiates us, and it takes time to build that foundation through events, through building relationships with ambassadors, building your collective, activating events, and nurturing that. We've always taken this approach of being a global brand that's locally relevant, and local relevance is empowering, and you're going to hear from Lynn later, empowering the team to activate the brand, to connect ways in which are relevant to each of those markets. So we want to represent, so every store you went into, you knew you were in a Lululemon, but there's that unique local sense, and then clearly through our activations. So I think the strength is to the community, the relationships in every market. If we brought you to Japan, if we brought you to Australia, if we brought you in through Europe, you would see sort of that 80-20 balance of where the global shows up and then the nuance and the empowerment of the local team to really bring the brand to life through that community connection, which has always been a big driver of ours. So from an agenda perspective, I'm going to hand it over to Andre. Then you're going to hear from Senyen. Elliot will walk you through merchandising product and the team plans that he's championing. You're going to hear from Lynn on all the brand activation community initiatives. Gareth will share Asia Pacific point of view. And Andre, I think, is also going to talk a little bit to EMEA in yours. So you're going to get a full comprehensive international conversation. Megan will share some perspective on numbers, no new guidance. I think she mentioned that yesterday. And we're going to be all on the panel for any Q&A you have. So we're going to try to flow through the presentations, write down any questions you have, and there's definitely going to be Q&A time, if not during breaks, as we did all day yesterday, but sort of a panel at the end. So I'm just going to touch on a few slides. Obviously, you're familiar with our Power 3x2 growth initiative that we shared. This is our third year. No changes to the pillars. It's driven through product innovation. It's driven through brand and community activation, and it's driven through market expansion. The goal is to double men's. The goal to quadruple our international and to double our digital is what the team continues to work towards while making impact on people and planet. End of this year, we have guided, we are ahead of plan, ahead of schedule. International business continues to perform incredibly well for us. I think the math in this, if you work it out, is sort of low 30s is the CAGR, and that the international business to date through the 3 years is operating closer to the 40s. So we're running ahead there. We've talked about the opportunity, Canada's strong opportunity in U.S. women's that the team is working through from an opportunity perspective, but guiding ahead of schedule through to the end of this year, and really what is still driving for the next few years the initiatives that we'll talk to and share with you. So our international business, we break it into the 3 regions, EMEA, Mainland China, and APAC. Represents a total of 21% of our revenue. We're in 26 markets, over 300 stores, as you see. And Andre and the team will lay out which ones we are in through an own strategy, a franchise strategy, and how we think of market entry moving forward. I think the main headline is we have significant runway of growth in the markets we're in. And we're going to continue to invest, develop, and grow those. We will continue to seed incremental markets, and Andre will share some of those with you. But definitely, when we look at our international portfolio and we look at the markets we're in, we are single-digit market share. We are, in most of them, single-digit brand awareness, just a few that are in the low teens. So a real opportunity to just continue to invest and build, as I said, that foundation through community activation and incredible stores and great teams. And I think I've said a few times, international today, 21% of our business. There's nothing preventing, as we look forward, the portfolio being a 50-50. Now, we continue to see growth in North America, so I'm not going to get to 50-50 because North America is not growing, but it's to indicate, obviously, international is going to continue to outpace our North American growth. But 21% today, 2 and a bit years left in our current Power of 3 times 2. And when we think of the next 5-year growth plan and beyond, there's nothing systemic that's preventing this brand through our modeling, through the success and the way it's resonating, that we don't believe we continue to see this outsized growth internationally and building a mix of the portfolio that is 50-50 when we look at the global scale. So it really is a Canadian brand that grew up in North America, first went to Australia, and now in 26 markets, and seeing double-digit growth in every market we're in internationally, seeing huge pull from the guests in every market we're in, and as I said, taking a very measured approach to build that foundation to connect locally with the guests so that they see it, quite frankly, as their local brand versus a Western brand that has come to sort of project a point of view. We want to grow up locally and work with them on really just their well-being through movement, which is our point of view. But we're going to talk about our opportunity in China mainland, which is a big part of our international. Not the only part, as you'll hear from Andre and Gareth, but a big part. It most likely next year will become our second largest market internationally. First few years, 2023, we grew 67%. Year to date, we're just below 40%. So you're continuing to see this momentum in this market. And what I hope you walk away from is realizing even in Shanghai, Beijing, where we have a number of beautiful stores and assets, there's significant room for growth, not to mention tier 1.5, tier 2, and testing in some tier 3 cities, the digital, the growth, what's happening in the market, the focus on movement and well-being and health, working with local partners through notion of Healthy China and the role that we can play and are playing to help drive that initiative. It's exciting to see that opportunity. And lastly, I'll touch on, and I sort of alluded to it at the beginning, is the importance of our culture. Internationally, whenever I go to a store, I always sort of stand, try to imagine closing my eyes and just feel that vibe, that sense you get within a store. And does it feel like a Lululemon? Am I hearing the educators interacting with the guests? Is there the same level of enthusiasm? Are we collectively waking up in the morning and going for a sweat before we have a meeting or a town hall? These are the unique attributes of the culture that really puts this notion of winning matters to us. We're a high-performing organization, but how we win matters more, and we win through others. So is there that team spirit, performance-driven, but is movement and well-being and guest at the center of the culture? And do you feel that everywhere we go as we grow to make sure that sort of is the nucleus of this organization? And again, hopefully, I think what you experienced yesterday, what I continue to experience, been asked a few times. I usually in market 3 to 4 times in mainland China, APAC twice, usually a race or 2, which Gareth always looks forward to, getting him and the team out, and EMEA once is sort of my travel internationally, not to mention North America. And a big part of that is because you can't say culture matters if you're not physically in market, interacting, talking to the teams, and living the sweat life as we call it with them to represent. So with that, we're just getting started, and I'm going to hand it over to Andre to share with you just where we are getting started internationally and with EMEA.
Good morning, everyone. It was really a pleasure to have you yesterday visiting stores, and the teams were so proud to have you. And as Calvin, you mentioned, there's nothing that beats this kind of seeing live and experience it for your own self. So it was great to see. And for you, it gives you the idea of how we build our brand store by store, community by community, and market by market. I think, Calvin, you referred to that. So it's 3 regions, but as you know, we separate mainland China and the rest of the world with APAC and EMEA. So that's how we kind of communicate the results period after period. And we are already at more than 300 stores and 21% of the business. We presented to you 2.5 years ago the power of 3 times 2, right? And half of you, I think, were there in the room, and I stood up and I say, we're not going to quadruple the business. It's okay, you have a good time there because it feels bold, you kind of have a little bit of clapping, and then 2 years later, you need to show, so where are you by doing that? Because nothing beats the numbers. So at that time, we were 960, around that, $1 million business on the 3 regions, so international. And we closed last year at 2 billion, meaning we double in this first part of our 5-year plan, our business. And yes, Sanyan and the team opened the champagne because they reached the 1 billion mark. That was a goal for China. So it's quite spectacular to see how much China helped contribute. And also, it means that the rest of the world also represents 1 billion. And that's super important for us because then we have an approach that is maximizing the portfolio of markets and making sure that we tap into the opportunities market after market. To give you a sense of the journey, we used to have 18 markets. We are at 26 now, 167 stores we close at 309. So it gives you the size of the development of the stores, like the 4 that you visited yesterday. And in terms of employees, we doubled them. And as you know, most of them are retail educators. So we invest a lot in making sure that we own this relationship with our guests. And also, it's good to have doubling the business, but we're a premium brand. We want to have a premium experience. So the way we do it is really position ourselves in a premium way in the market, rooted in our purpose, the well-being for all. We achieve that, and microeconomics, politics is quite uncertain. So by saying that, I'm saying that we can trust the strength of our business model. And to tap on those, I think, Calvin, you mentioned them. First is the product superiority. It comes back and back. It's so critical to make sure that every guest that enters in our doors or connects online understands the fabric, the fit, and the design, and that makes, over time, the loyalty once you recruit a guest. So product superiority, we have been investing in each region. Now we have a buying team, planning allocation team, to make sure that we curate the range, that's the global range, to the local needs. And for us, has been really important to then have a lot of product education, the science of feel for every educator, for them to be equipped to present in an engaging way our products to the guests. So product superiority. Second is our direct-to-consumer model. We don't delegate this interaction with the guest to customers, right? We own it. And it means that we will deliver premium experience to each one of the guests, premium pricing, realization, to make sure that that's our go-to-market and a way of doing business. And the third, you've been to the exhibition yesterday where we have the community activities, and that's super important. How do you become relevant as of day one in any country you enter? Is through communities. Is to having people in the store that speak the language, that are engaging with the guests, that knows the ambassadors around the stores, that understands who are the opinion leaders of the sweat life, of the categories that we participate in, the yoga, the running, the training, the tennis, and so on and so forth. And that creates advocacy, and creates advocacy for our products. And you saw is the flywheel, right? Then there is advocacy for our product. It goes into our data to consumer, and we keep kind of spinning the wheel to get the traction and the momentum in the business. So where are we? I think you pointed out, Calvin, is to say we were 15% of the total business. We closed last year at 21. We foresee, at the end of the 5-year plan, a 31%. And yes, in a potential future, 50%. And as you mentioned, quadrupling the business is in arm's reach. It means 30%, around a 30% CAGR, and we are at 44% so far. So we're on track to achieve our targets. You mentioned too, unaided awareness. What's the potential ahead? Instead of building too much of an analysis of the different levers, I think this is very compelling. This is the unaided awareness. So when you ask the question of people, guests that are potentially buyers of the premium activewear, so it's not total population. Then I wouldn't even be able to present numbers to you. This is on the guests that are able to kind of be participating in our business. You can see our oldest market is Australia, 28%. China, we spoke, 15, meaning 85% still. We will do much to develop, and Lini will come back to that. And the other markets are below 10%. So with this, we want to underline and show how big is the opportunity and the momentum that we can build ahead. So that means that we are at early stage of our growth in international, and we're going to deploy our 4 strategies. That is, the retail expansion through new stores opening and optimizations. Digital is a fundamental part of how we also scale and the reach of our guests. Building brand awareness, activation, brand building, and also start seeding the future markets to keep kind of having markets that will complement the main markets that we operate. I'm going to come back to briefly each one of them, and the first one is the new store openings. There are 3 ways for you to kind of dimensionalize that. The first is having great flagship stores in the key cities around the world, especially the capital cities. So you saw Kerry Center, so in Shanghai, it's a stage. It showcased the brand so powerfully. And we have, in Beijing, we have Sanlitun, open earlier this year. So Champs-Élysées, Regent Street in London, Chadstone in Australia. So big format, present the breadth and the width of the range and the activation and the engagement of the guest. And on those, not only we can tap into the local guest, but also the traffic driven by tourism. We have a significant complement that brings with the tourism in all these key cities, making those stores really not only great in terms of sales, but very profitable. The second lever is new stores opening. So we are going to continue opening stores. We were discussing yesterday in China, for example, I had a question. What about beyond Shanghai and Beijing, right? And how many of the key doors in the top 10 in China are not in Beijing and Shanghai? 7 out of 10. So it illustrates the breadth of the possibilities we have in keeping building our network of stores. And we see a future where we will have more stores than in the North American business over time. Digital is a fundamental part of our business. In APAC and EMEA, we invest as much CapEx in digital than in a store, because beyond the key cities, beyond these anchor doors, we need to reach the guests around the countries. So we will keep investing in our user experience, in making sure that the payment, the easiness to shop in us is going to be really strong. Brand activations. I think I won't be too long here because Lynn, you will take the example of China and tell us how you dimensionalize the brand, how you engage the guest in a unique way, and keep building this advocacy and the brand awareness for the brand. Without forgetting new markets. So let me come back to new markets in the approach in the EMEA section, just right after now. But we'll keep seeding new markets to keep kind of having the momentum going. And of course, everything underpinned by our product superiority. And Elliot will, you will detail for international, as you are leading that area, how we are going to leverage fully the potential of our product superiority to achieve the goals that we have. So that's the 4 key strategies, enhanced by the product. And that will make us hitting, quadrupling the business for international. So Sanyan, you're in the room, Garrett also. Sarah Clark, that leads Europe, is not part of the presentation, so I'll tap into EMEA just briefly to share with you how also we're tapping into the opportunity for EMEA. There are 3 things to consider. First, the big market. So there are 2 maximized markets that we have in Europe, which are the UK and Germany. They have the biggest premium activewear potential in the market, and there we will deploy the full activation of the marketplace, including top-of-funnel media marketing, to just step up significantly our awareness in those markets. Those markets also, we are constantly improving our footprint. This year, I think it's just as we speak, like Saturday, we are opening Berlin Mitte. We are relocating and optimization, so we are doubling the store there. Regent Street will be next at the end of plus 50% footprint. And we know that the recipe is successful. When we double the size of the store, the productivity per square feet of the sales increased by 180. So we know that then we have the leverage because then we have the store manager, etc. So it's also key in those cities to keep kind of rejuvenating our footprint, especially in those two markets. Then we have the scale markets, which are the other big 5 countries. We opened Champs-Élysées, that was less than 2 years ago, and immediately it is in the top 3 of our stores in Europe. You see here the execution of the Olympics. When we were in Olympics, Team Canada, the activation, that was a highlight. It was great to have this beacon store to really express to the world at that stage our partnership with Team Canada. And you have Madrid. So in Spain, we have Madrid and Barcelona. Same, top 5 doors in Europe immediately. So we see that the scales market immediately are ready to take on and keep growing. And that's the list of markets. So just before going to each individual kind of market that you see here, we use the sweating index, which is the mix of premium activewear market, how many of the guests in each market/city is interested in the category, can afford participating into that. Second, the ease of doing business. Can be, the regulations, can be the access to real estate, so ease of doing business. And third, the proper sweat life, which is how many studios, how many clubs, how many fitness centers, and all that gives us an index that then we prioritize the next markets to go. And accordingly, we will open 2 stores in Italy next year, mid of the year, 1 in Milan, 6 months before the Winter Olympics. And you know that we have a range quite spectacular for the Winter Olympics. And in Rome, the 2 major cities of the market. Then it's Istanbul. Also, like at the end of Q1, we'll have a store, probably a second store, east-west, in a city that's more than 20 million inhabitants and receives every year lots of tourism. I won't detail them all, but Prague, Brussels, and Copenhagen are also in the roadmap of cities that we're going to open. And we will do that with a mix of own, and as we use in Europe, is the case for Turkey, we'll have a franchise partner, as we do in the Middle East, to help us in this market for this complexity. So that's for retail expansion, key city approach, and of course, digital. Digital Europe is our highest market in terms of digital penetration. We're close to 50%, and we will, invest in our user experience. And also, we selectively chosen Zalando as a marketplace in continental Europe to complement our reach, traffic, and we saw that 95% of the guests we received through Zalando were new to the brand, and we know that after a year, also more than 50 then shop within our stores or our own website. So a lot also happening in terms of digital. That's about it for the highlights on Europe. I just wanted to summarize, and you will see that what are our key competitive advantage that position us to win in the future in our markets. Product superiority, I think it was clear. The community activations, you will see more of that. This omni operating model, which is direct to consumer, owning this relationship with the guest, and the culture. And you mentioned that, Calvin, I don't know, Howard, if you do press, quarterly release, how you speak about people, how you transform to say, this is the secret sauce of the company is the culture. It's how you make sure as a retailer you have the best motivated people that are engaged, that engage in a unique way, day after day, these unique relationships that they build with their guests that brings, the product to life with the science of feel, which brings, the emotion and the interaction, and then the loyalty, because then they know the guests. And in the example of China, you saw that they can continue this conversation with their guests with the WeChat and the WeCom. So it's the fundamental, I would say, base of our success for the future. And when it comes to community, it's better for me to show you a video. To have, in the case of China, you're hosting us, you prepare it to say in the last year, what have been the major community activations that we've been doing in the marketplace. Thank you very much.
Good morning to all of you. I'm happy to see you again this morning. When I started in Lululemon, we only had 10 stores, and we're barely trying to figure out how we operate in Tmall. And our office is actually at WeWork. And fast forward today, I'm really privileged to be in this journey, in this organization, with my team to witness the growth and the success and the opportunity that we see in this market. As you saw in the video, as well as the World Mental Health Day execution at the West Bund yesterday, we have successfully infused a local flair to a global brand and how we actually help to forge a closer relationship with the community in China. Our ability to blend global brand value and expertise, as well as our local culture understanding, has always been a key success of in this market. As we examine our current landscape in China mainland, the athletics sector has experienced remarkable growth. This growth is mainly driven by government initiatives such as Healthy China 2030 plan and the rising awareness of health and fitness in China. The pandemic has actually opened up the public's understanding of wellness beyond just physical fitness into mental health being as well as work-life balance. During the recent 2 sessions and annual meeting conference in March 2024, key priorities were identified as drivers to promote growth in the country, and that includes well-being, sports, activity participation, and hosting large-scale sports events. This China sportswear market has grown over 20% since 2019, making it one of the fastest growing category in the retail segment. With more than 500 million people in China participating in regular sports, and that includes running, yoga, as well as fitness classes, this increase in participation has also created a strong demand for apparel as well as sports equipment. And the Chinese consumers seek products that are both functional, stylish, and also tailored to their local lifestyle. However, we know that the broader economic landscape remains a little uncertain. The China economy shows signs of recovery after COVID, is partly driven by government stimulus to aim at boosting consumption. But yet, consumer spending remains a little lukewarm. But we have noticed a shift in experiential spending that has emerged in most of the cities in China. The consumer are now prioritizing experience over material goods. And these experiences include dining, traveling, entertainment, and more relevant to us, fitness, outdoor events, as well as well-being events. The shift towards experience now intersects with the current economic climate that's creating potential uncertainty in some consumer behavior. They are more cautious about discretionary spending, especially on non-essential purchases. Our industry is less impacted by these trends. This resilience really depends on our ability to deliver relevant, functional products that continue to support our Chinese guests in the pursuit of active lifestyle and their experiences. By aligning our offering and our consumer priorities, we can actually help to mitigate some of these challenges posed by the economic climate. And over the years, the Chinese activewear market has become increasingly competitive. Local brands now have been promoting their product with better quality and speaks directly to the Chinese guests. Our strategy in this environment is really to combine our global brand values with the local needs and expectation through product distortion as well as content acceleration, where you'll hear from Elliot and Lin. Our approach is really to make our offering compelling and relevant to the Chinese guests by adapting to the local taste and the cultural nuances expected. Our aim is really to maintain our global brand appeal while creating powerful connection with our local audience, driving growth, awareness, and a stronger market presence. As both Calvin and Andre mentioned earlier, our international growth story is just in the beginning, and Lululemon China is really in the early stages of our growth. We believe that we're uniquely positioned in the China mainland versus our competition because we remain true to our core of our brand, and that is our product, our community, and our OMI operating model. On product, our product strategy is the key differentiator in the Chinese market. Elliot will elaborate shortly on that. And in China mainland, we maintain a premium brand positioning compared to international and local competitors. Our products are engineered for technical performance, and they're designed to make you feel your best so that you perform your best. And we implemented a local assortment strategy with up to 30% of our sales actually come from product tailored for China. We anticipate this percentage to grow in the next few years, further strengthening our local relevance. Our community. We take a holistic approach to well-being, mindfulness, and active, healthy living. In China, we bring this to life via large-size event, which we activate with the largest event across the company. First half of the year, we focus on physical well-being, starting from Spring Run to Summer Sweat Game. For the last 4 summers, we've been hosting Summer Sweat Game across various cities and engaged thousands of guests across the country to interact with us through a CrossFit challenge. And in the second half of the year, we shifted to mental well-being, which you yesterday catch a glimpse of how we actually activate that. And these large-size events, on top of our regular store community events, supported Healthy China 30 initiatives, as we bring mental, social, and physical well-being to the Chinese guests. And Lin will be able to share more on that. Our OMI operating model. I get a lot of questions on this yesterday as we visited the store. We are a D2C business model. So we leverage our OMI channel model to provide our guests beyond just a full access to our inventory, but also extending our educator beyond the store. So to achieve this, we tap on WeChat ecosystem by utilizing WeChat mini program alongside with WeCom. So I know not every one of you are familiar with WeChat, and during our break later, there'll be a video to explain how this ecosystem works and how we leverage on this technology. So in WeChat mini program, so it integrates content, community, and commerce in just one app. So our goal is actually to expand WeChat mini program as the largest store in China, so that anywhere you are in China, wherever you are, whenever you are, you can access to our WeChat mini program. And WeCom is actually a tool that allows us to engage with our guests one-to-many as well as one-to-one. And this personalized interaction is just beyond transactional. So WeCom allows us to actually show our guests clienteling, telling them events that we're organizing, our community activation, as well as just personal outfitting that is available in the store. By leveraging WeChat ecosystem, it helps us to elevate our omni-channel strategy, enabling a deeper connection with our guests. Our growth drivers. We continue to address the growing consumer appetite needs for fitness and wellness. And in such a dynamic market like China, we believe that experimenting, analyzing, as well as adapting will let us stay ahead of the curve is what we call test and learn. We've also leaned into localization, which is bringing product and experiences to our guests that is relevant and resonates strongly with the local communities. I wanted to share how this model drives growth, especially when it comes to attracting new guests and leveraging different channels and trying new marketing tactics. Let's start with men's. The men's segment presents a significant growth for us in China, and we capture this opportunity by planning, designing, and expand of the space in our store, so that we appear dual gender and not just a female-oriented brand. And due to the versatility of our product, male guests are more likely to choose our brand across category and occasions, and both performance as well as casual. And this presents substantial opportunity to grow our share in the closet. And we continue to have opportunity in digital. And when I look at digital, I look at it in 3 different pillars. We talk about WeChat mini program, which is positioned as our proprietary site. We have marketplaces, which all of you are familiar with, which is Tmall and JD.com. And what we are experimenting and exploring right now is actually social commerce. Douyin, or as you know as TikTok, has enormous reach and influence as it is in other parts of the world. It shapes trend, influences consumer behavior, and has become a significant part of China's digital culture. However, in China, Douyin is also a very powerful commerce platform, driving awareness and sale through short video content as well as live streaming. And this year, early this year, we expanded our presence in Douyin experimenting with a diverse format and measuring our engagement result and yield very promising result and at full price. At the same time, we are also positioning Douyin as our brand education channel, utilizing streaming and tools to bring brand awareness, product recommendation, product education, as well as styling tips. And this has significantly expanded our reach to younger profile, as well as potential guests in lower tier cities that we do not have physical store presence. Pop-ups. In China, brand pop-up store has become crucial marketing strategy. Our pop-ups offer a unique and immersive experience that create a sense of novelty and surprise, breaking through traditional retail and marketing channel. Its temporary nature creates a sense of urgency and exclusivity, which resonates strongly with the Chinese consumer who value unique experiences. Since last year, we have been building and testing a series of pop-up through men's as well as the Gen Z demographic. And as we built equity on outerwear last year through Wonder Puff franchise, we're now amplifying our outerwear presence with a pop-up in Harbin last month in northern China, as seen here in the picture. This move, which is driven by a combination of outerwear market dynamics and integrated marketing, has generated an overwhelming interest and response from our guests. Notably, our second layer products, such as Scuba, Define, Softstream, has actually emerged as top-performing franchise, which actually confirms the outerwear strategy that we want is effective in building credibility in this market. And by leveraging pop-up, we can create memorable, culturally, seasonally relevant experience that resonate with the Chinese consumer, driving brand awareness, engagement, and loyalty. I'm going to spend a bit of time talking about new store opening, as I got a lot of questions yesterday on this. We categorize our cities by tier 1, 2, and 3. And this categorization is an unofficial way for Chinese cities based on factors such as economic development, population, and geopolitical political importance. So tier 1 cities being the most developed and influential, which is Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, and Shenzhen. The tier 2 cities are primarily provincial capital and economically significant cities. And tier 3 are typically smaller cities or prefectural capitals. There's a new category that's emerging that you often hear about, called tier 1.5 or tier 1.5. It is actually the rapidly developing and approaching a tier 1 status with increasing national importance. And examples include Chengdu, Hangzhou, and Nanjing. 2 months ago, I traveled to Xi'an with Kai and Eric. And when we went there, there is a sense of optimism. And the restaurants are busy, our stores' foot traffics are going up. There's a sense of forward-looking, suggesting really a positive outlook in the future ongoing consumer in this region. The overall consumption number that you see from report may be a little underwhelming for Xi'an, but focusing solely on these brand metrics fail to capture the nuances of this market. The heightened confidence in the second-tier city comes from factors like lower cost of living, more affordable housing, less mortgage pressure, as well as better job security. As a result, consumer in lower-tier cities are increasingly aspirational. They value lifestyles upgrade and particularly related to area of health and wellness. In Lululemon, we take a three-pronged approach in our opening strategy. One, we densify tier 1 city so that we have strong presence, because we have strong presence and recognition. We focus on expansion on tier 1.5 and 2 city as it has the most growth potential and is ready for the next wave of stores. And 3, we strategically test a couple of tier 3 cities guided by our key selection criteria, which is rigorous test and learn approach. And what is this approach? And I think Andre mentioned about it, which is our sweat index. So we employ a proven market expansion formula, which provide insights into income level, potential of premium active wear, as well as city sweat readiness, which is actually an assessment of how active and mindful the city is. And I want to stress that we do not open store for the sake of opening store. We assess the city long-term capacity, determine how many stores it can sustain over the next 5 years, and it also helps us to manage our pace to avoid overexposure. I would like to close by saying that Lululemon China is a truly global brand, with our local flair come distinctively to show up distinctively in China. We firmly believe in experimentation that fuel progress. We will test various ideas, explore different channels, target diverse consumer segment, and we will continuously adapt and stay ahead of the curve. Our adaptability actually ensures that we're always learning, we're always improving, we're always delivering better product and experiences for our guests in China. This approach actually opens up significant opportunities for growth innovation in this dynamic market. And we really feel confident that our strategy, blend with global expertise and insights and local positioning, will uniquely capitalize the evolving Chinese consumer market. Thank you, and we will take a 15-minute coffee break right now, and we will back where Elliot will touch on products. Thank you.
All right, everybody doing okay? Good. Certainly a pleasure to meet many of you last night and this morning. But for those of you who I haven't met, my name is Elliot Harris. I've been with the brand for 7 years, and for the last 3 years, I've had the distinct pleasure and honor to lead our merchandising and planning functions across our international markets. Now, I'm excited because you saw a lot of numbers, but now we get to talk product. And we'll spend the next few minutes talking about product opportunities and our approach to localization in China mainland and actually across international as well. Now, China mainland holds a $33 billion active lifestyle market. And within that market, we see some of the highest participation rates, weekly participation rates in activities of running and yoga. Now, this is a huge opportunity for our brand to lead in these spaces just based on our history as a brand being rooted in yoga. Now, it's true that our opportunity to resonate with local guests, really, localization plays a huge role in that effort. But what we've learned is that the most significant opportunity we have from a localization perspective is how we distort and amplify and allocate our global product line to meet the local guest needs here in China mainland. And it's also true that we've been developing over the last 3 years capability and capacity to locally design and develop product as well. And so far, where we've seen the most success with that is when we combine local fit, local features, and preferences with our known Lululemon fabric and functionality. Now, our ability to leverage the global product line through guest insights to create locally developed and designed product, all of that is really rooted in guest insights. And the ability to develop those guest insights really rests in having a team here. I'm not developing the insights, right? 3 years ago, we had exactly 2 employees whose job it was to wake up every morning and think exclusively about product assortment strategy in mainland China. And we've grown that into an entire team who obsess over it daily. And the investment in that team is paying off. Now, we talk about localized product strategy. Let me break that down a bit for you and how we look at it. So you were in stores yesterday, and about 25% of the sales that we get here in mainland China are coming from global line product that is exclusively adopted or modified for fit or color to resonate with the local Chinese guests. And then there's up to 10% of sales coming from product that we locally design and develop. And together, those two pieces of how we localize represent over 30% of assortment and product experience that's localized and fit specifically to address China mainland guest needs. Now, the opportunity going forward is to increase that level of localization. And we see the opportunity to increase it really resting in that level of locally designed and developed product. It's up to 10% today, as I mentioned. We see an opportunity for it to be up to 15%. Now, localization is important, but I would tell you that a lot of the confidence we have in our goal to double the market share that we have here in China within 5 years really rests in our unique value proposition. And I would describe it in 2 ways. It starts with product, and as we think about product, there's really 2 focuses that we have: high performance and high style. We have the best product in the industry. It's unmatched from a functionality, a fit, a performance perspective. We have high guest satisfaction rates across categories, and our iconic product, our franchises, Align, ABC, Scuba, all these franchises are at the heart of our growth, and our customer keeps coming back. Our guest keeps coming back to us more and more for them. The franchises deliver an unmatched combination of functionality, fit, features, and versatility that leave our guests wanting more as we deliver new colors, new iterations, new styles within those franchises. And we believe that performing well begins with feeling good, and style is a big part of that equation. In addition to our superior product, our positioning in the market really create a unique advantage for us. You heard Sang Yan talk about it, this combination of performance apparel and premium positioning. We're priced above our competitors, but it's the quality of the product, the compelling storytelling that we have through our partners in brand and marketing, where our stores are placed, and how our guests interact with our educators in store that create a product experience that's unmatched. The market is competitive. I'm reminded of it every day. We see new brands and existing brands entering into the activewear space often, but we always strive to be first to market with new innovation, creating a valuable product experience for our guests. And there's several competitive advantages that allow us to do that. I'll focus on 2. So the innovation philosophy that we have as we approach how we create product. There's a truth that we believe in, that when you feel your best, you perform your best. And we blend the art of design and style with the science of how we innovate into our raw materials to create the best product in the industry. Also, our products are versatile. We design specifically for activities like run and yoga. And because of that design process, we've been able to design a breadth of product across activities, across gender, across categories. And that breadth of performance product that we've created, it creates a huge opportunity for our guests, especially as we innovate into casual spaces, to mix and match both performance and casual to provide a unique fit and feel experience for our guests. Now, I'm going to talk a bit about the competitive advantages in the lens of opportunity that we have going forward in mainland China. These are the focuses, the growth drivers that our teams are focused on as we look to build a business. And we see that there's 4 real opportunities to build competitive advantages. I'll start by highlighting what we call our hero items. Now, across all of our international regions, we're in growth mode, which means that acquisition is really important. And one of the best ways or best tools we have for acquisition is our hero products. So we've selected over 20 hero items to really highlight within our stores and online, focus on them from an investment perspective to really drive acquisition within the market. We believe these hero items are at the pinnacle of the expression of fit functionality and feel to drive that experience for the guests. And if we look at how we'll win in China with these items, I think the slide says something about high service level, and all these really cool terms that's on the slide, but I like to call it always on and always available. So how can we ensure that we have high levels of service through our investment in unit depth and consistent color offering for those hero items? And then we match that investment with evolved and enhanced inventory placement strategies that allow us to be flexible as we get results from the guests. That's really what's going to allow us to win with our hero items. And of course, we know innovation is key. So we work very closely with the global product team to ensure that we're always injecting newness and innovation into this group of hero items so that we can offer a fresh assortment to the guests. Men's. Now, we have a huge opportunity to build a competitive advantage with our men's assortment. And really the key there is driving share across both performance and casual. We've had early success in the China mainland market in terms of building that momentum. And we know we have opportunity. I mean, I'll go through a few things that light us up. So we have industry-leading guest satisfaction metrics that really indicate the power of the product that we're offering our guests. And with 60% of the male guests in China being considering the brand, being able to consider the brand, that's actually one of the highest consideration rates we have across all our markets, 60%. We also see early signals of success in categories like footwear, where the launch of our Cityverse last year actually was a huge driver of new guest acquisition. When it comes to guest satisfaction, we see it across both our performance apparel and casual categories. So casual being 62% of guests saying that they're satisfied with our product versus the industry 43%, and then 79% across our performance apparel. We also feel we're well positioned just based on the male guests' preferences and what they're thinking and concerned about in their everyday life, with 80% of males in the market saying that they're really concerned about maintaining and establishing a healthy lifestyle. You know, as we have these high consideration rates for our brand, what's really a key opportunity for us is male guests, we see that they're more likely to transition between categories with us. So we may get them through performance, but we have a huge opportunity to expand our share of closet through casual. And we see the same thing going the other way. We get a lot of guests through casual, and our ability to expand our share of closet through performance is key. Outerwear. You know, I talk a lot about outerwear with our global team, and it's really something that you have to be in the region to see. China has one of the most diverse and multiple number of climate zones that you'll see in the world. And that presents just a huge opportunity for us to lead into this category. And with the help of the equity that we've built in Wonder Puff, Singhan talked about it earlier, we've actually been able to drive a really big business in outerwear within our current mix. The activations that we saw around Wonder Puff both last year and this year have been phenomenal. But where we really see opportunity beyond insulated is with our transitional assortment. We see huge opportunity to maintain a year-round business in outerwear, focusing on lightweight, transitional, and insulated product. Now, how we'll win in China really depends on our ability to have a sophisticated distribution strategy, because with all of these climate zones and guest preferences, our ability to move and deliver product at the right time in the right place for our guests is really key. We also believe that there's an opportunity to premiumize our insulated assortment. So how do we level up insulated pieces like the Wonder Puff and provide an elevated level of fabric and trim and color for our guests? And then last but not least, and you know, this is one of the categories that really surprised me as I learned about the business in China, is our bags business. You would have seen, as you were in stores yesterday, we've expanded the space that we dedicate to bags. And it's not just, you know, the core of the assortment that's working well. Obviously, you would be familiar with styles like the Everywhere Belt bag. That's actually not the #1 bag for us in China. we've really created a balanced assortment and have opportunity to up-level the impact of that key item assortment through premiumization as well. So thinking about updated trims and fabrics to really elevate that offer for the guests. And our seasonal offer is also working well. Now, how will we maximize it for China? So there's an opportunity for us to further expand that display of bags, especially in our large format stores. And there's a further opportunity for us to really leverage the category from a guest acquisition perspective on digital. Singyan talked about the reach that we are establishing in our tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Using bags as a category to reach those destinations is really key. So those 4 areas of distortion for us, they really are at the heart of what I believe will drive success for us as we go forward in building the China market. And now I'll talk a little bit about the role of localization, how it plays in with those growth-driving categories. Now, when we think about localization, our approach to it is really across 3 buckets. And we think about it in terms of local unmet needs, how we show up in culturally relevant moments with culturally relevant capsules. And more recently, we've been developing our capability to really lean into brand activation moments, to provide special product to really bring those moments to life. As we look at local unmet needs, I'll point out kind of some of the product that we have over here. You'll be familiar with a lot of our tights assortment. Right now, about 70% of our tights assortment is being driven by Asia Fit. And what is Asia Fit? We have both Global Fit and Asia Fit in our assortment. Asia Fit really comes from our use of body data research that we outsource, and our ability to collect guest feedback and wear test trials to adjust the fit of the garment to make sure we maintain the promise that we have that it's an unmatched feel in the market. So there's adjustments to the hip, the rise of those garments, those pants, those leggings to really create a unique experience for the guest. That started 7 years ago with tights. We've expanded it to bras, men's pants, and we feel like there's tons of opportunity to expand it to other categories as we go forward. Also, within our ability to address local unmet needs is this capability that we've been developing over the last 3 years to really introduce newly developed and designed styles that are locally developed and designed to the market. And we are able to do this in a read and react or fast turn manner, so a shorter lead time than the global product line. I'll point out one style here that really exemplifies what we're able to do. So about a year ago, several of the regional product teams identified an opportunity to get into varsity-inspired graphics. And luckily enough, at the time, that was already in the global product line to be delivered actually next quarter, so winter 24. But because we have the Asia product creation team and the ability to locally design and develop, we were able to deliver this graphic and this expression of the brand 1 season earlier. And it serves as a test and learn opportunity for the brand. Today, that capability that we've been developing is 10%. As I mentioned before, we have an opportunity to grow it to 15% of total sales going forward. We also, as I mentioned, lean into how we show up at culturally relevant events with capsules. And we use this read and react capability that I talked about before to lean into those events as well. So if you think about cultural events like Qixi or Chinese New Year, Qixi being the Chinese Valentine's Day, we're able to deliver relevant capsules that have special designs that really resonate with the local guests. And then lastly, and I'd say this is the part where we have a lot of opportunity to expand, is you'll hear from Lynn, the level of storytelling that's taking place in the market is incredible. And from a product perspective, we have a huge opportunity to complement those stories with special product. Last year, you would have seen our efforts around launching the Cityverse in ABC with the ABC program. And we had an opportunity to react to a collaboration with Zhou Ganyu, the Formula One driver. We had an opportunity to create product really quickly. Lynn really pushed me on this one. To have product come to the market that was specially designed and co-branded with his brand. And what it did is it created a huge amount of awareness, and it accomplished the goal of really shining a light on new product that we were really excited about. So our ability to do that on a consistent basis really is key to this storytelling element that separates us from the rest in the industry. Oh, I advanced to your slide, Lynn, but look, I had a great time. Had a great time really pointing out some of the things that we're focused on from a product perspective. It's been a great journey so far with so much opportunity ahead of us. And I'd leave you with this. We have superior product, but our ability to tell a story about that product in a way that resonates locally with the guests is really the key. And that's what I found to be the differentiator in how product shows up in the region. So thank you.
Thank you, Elliot. Is the mic working? Hello, everyone. I'm a relatively new face, I guess, because I didn't go on the store tours with you and I didn't sit with many of you at dinner last night. I'm Lynn, and I do brand marketing for China. So for the next 30 minutes or so, I will talk you through what we've been up to here and why we're just at the beginning of our story. I want to first start by our vision statement. I don't know how many of you are familiar with this statement. I'm going to read it. Our vision is to create transformative products and experiences that build meaningful connections, unlocking greater possibility and well-being for all. Let me break this down. So really, what is the job of marketing? The job of marketing, as I see it, laddering up to our vision statement, is to make our product famous. First job. Second job is to continue to nourish and grow our community, because that really, I feel, is a point of differentiation for our brand, especially because we are a directly managed company. The third pillar is how do we play a part in advocating for well-being through mindful movement. So I'm going to give you a few examples now on how do we, in China, make our product famous. I'm going to touch on 4 examples. The first one is our core products. You see a lot of them here. A lot of them you are familiar with. I see some of you wearing the ABC pant. I'm sure some women here would have the Align pant, the MBT T-shirt. So the second, which is what Elliot touched on earlier, the Chinese New Year capsule, I thought would be a good example to show you how we activate in support of that product creation. The third pillar is men's. You've heard about our opportunity with men's, from Calvin's strategy of double men's to Sanyan earlier, and also to Elliot's presentation. And the last was an example, quite recent one, it just ended, on outerwear and our equity that we're building into the Wonder Puff. So, core products. In 2023, last year, in China mainland, we crossed our 10-year mark. So very young in China. And we thought, how can we celebrate this milestone by highlighting all the products that our guests over the last 10 years have said they love? So because we have a network of stores and educators that are well connected with our guests, we went out and collected authentic guest testimonials of them speaking about why they love the Align, why they love the Fast and Free, why MBT is a staple. We received an overwhelming 400 over entries. And these were not little excerpts or quotes. These were full-on, picture-filled essays on how our product has transformed their performance or their daily lives. So I could not publish 400 of those stories. In this book, which you see lying around, we selected the best of 50, and we compiled it into a book to commemorate our 10-year mark in China. You can flip around later during the break. I apologize, it's all in Chinese. But I think some of you do read Chinese. And from an integrated way, the faces that you see here, we chose 10 faces. These are actually all local China ambassadors. There's even one educator, our longest-serving educator in Lululemon China. And we really aim to use these local faces, influences in the respective communities to bring to life our storytelling here. So here you are, each one of them talking about their favorite Lululemon product. And these are an excerpt of the quotes that you will find in the book. Our stores. So many of you visited our stores yesterday. And you've heard many times today that in China, really, we have a premium positioning. Now, this is really a product of a collaborative effort in our leadership team. We really look at real estate and think about how do we use our stores not only to sell product, but also to position the brand, and it's a key communication tool for us. On the left here, you might recognize this store. This is actually our Kerry Center store under renovation. It's hoarded up because when we ran this campaign, the store was still not open. So we really use the store hoarding also as an out-of-home panel to bring to life our campaigns. In our stores, because we are relatively new in this market, we also use visual merchandising and product storytelling in our stores to create clear zoning and demarcation, helping our guests find the product that they need. I'm going to go to the next slide. So from an activation perspective, as you've heard earlier, community is a big part of what we do. We celebrated this 10-year milestone with a hero event in Beijing. We welcomed more than 1,500 people in a full day of activities, starting with a 5K run. They did animal flow, they did HIIT, and ending with a sunset yoga session in Beijing at the Shougang Park. I'm going to end with a video. We're all in Shanghai today. A lot of you don't have time to travel all around China, although Laurent told me he was going to stay for 2 weeks more. So I'm going to show you this video because with the out-of-home that you see here, it gives you an idea about the scale of China and the work that we do to amplify our brand in this market. Okay, moving on to the next pillar, Chinese New Year. A personal favorite of mine this year. I'm Malaysian, that's the hint. So Chinese New Year, in Chinese actually, it means it's 春节, which directly translates to Spring Festival. So when we started concepting about Chinese New Year this year, we asked ourselves, what does spring actually mean? Spring is a rebirth after the death of winter. Spring represents a new hope and a new beginning. And wouldn't it be great from a well-being perspective if we can hold on to this idea of forever spring? And when you think forever spring in Chinese, it translates to 咏春. 咏春, at that time, serendipitously, was being performed by a very well-known dance troupe in Shenzhen. And 咏春 is also a form of martial arts. I don't know how many of you know that. But we were so impressed by the dance performance that we saw in theaters at that time that I thought it would be great to cast them, because they would be able to show our product in movement in a beautiful way. And it also gives us an opportunity to lean into this idea of well-being from an Eastern lens. Then I thought, 咏春 was also the movie that Michelle Yeoh starred in 30 years ago in 1994, and is widely credited as being the movie that launched her into the silver screen. And I don't know if you remember, early this year, she was fresh off her Oscar nomination. And I was thinking, would she say yes to starring in a film with Lululemon? Fortunately for us, she did, and this was the result of the campaign. The tagline here says, "Be Spring," and that's the idea. It's to ask our guests to really keep that spring mindset throughout the year, keeping hope and looking forward as the optimism of the year unfolds. This is our capsule that was developed by our Asia product creation team. And again, we really use hoarding as a key out-of-home panel for us to create impact across our network throughout China. Okay, the third pillar, men's. How many of you are watching Netflix last night? So the gentleman that you see here, he's only 24 years old, so he's part of the Gen Z population. He's a guy, which speaks to our male guest. And in 2023, we had an opportunity to sign with Joe, and we love Joe. He's the only Chinese F1 driver. Sure, we're not in F1, I mean Lululemon, but the mental strength and the training that goes into preparing for an F1 race, we thought really resonated with us. So we signed him to launch our new men's footwear, the Cityverse shoe. In March of this year, this was the launch and this was the campaign. And some of you may know, in March, we welcomed back the Shanghai F1 to Shanghai. Being a Shanghainese boy and the Chinese pride at that moment, it was a huge cultural opportunity for us to speak to our collection through Joe. So what did we do? After long discussions, we were, with the love and support of his mom and his family, be able to put together a mini exhibition at our Kerry Center flagship to really chronicle the 24 years of his journey, starting with the first go-kart that he raced in when he was 4 years old. So needless to say, a lot of the F1 fans that were in town to watch the F1, a lot of our male guests who never perhaps considered Lululemon in the past, came through our doors, and it was a very successful moment for us. That's the event. Lastly, talking about outerwear. So, as you know, we are on Tmall. It is a marketplace platform for us in China that drives a lot of new guests to the brand. Tmall celebrates an e-com festival every year. It's called Super Brand Day. And during Super Brand Day, we thought it is the perfect opportunity for us to leverage this platform to build equity into Wonderpuff. Then the second objective that my boss gave me is, how do we create influence and visibility beyond Tier 1 cities? Third objective is, how do we connect with the Gen Z guest? Fourth objective is, how can we continue to test the pop-up strategy? So with the Wonderpuff and with all of this in mind, we decided to bring the event to our northernmost city, Harbin. How many of you have been there? No? It's actually called the City of Ice. And as you know, the Wonderpuff is an outerwear. But again, being a brand that is rooted in movement, we always strive to show our product, if we can, through movement and in a premium way. So we took the Wonder Puff product and married it with figure skating and ice skating. This is the event we held in Arping. We did it in 2 parts. What you see here is the daytime event, where we worked with the local community to really explore what are the training movements that ice skating and figure skaters need to train with on ground before they go on ice. And we invited the local community to come and try those movements with us in our gear. The second part of the activation was really then to showcase what our product could look like. And we worked with the Harbin Winter Sports Training Center. I finally got the name right. Because we chose 40 of their young students, so again, the Gen Z objective. We choreographed with them with an ex-Olympic figure skater, a show performance, and invited Han Dongjun. He's a native of Harbin, and he's also a very famous male celebrity, to create buzz and drive visibility locally for this event. I'm going to now play you the video, and you'll tell me what you think. I'm very glad to report that, with this event up north, actually the north has been a stronghold for a lot of our local competitor brands. And after this activation, I think we've got a halo effect now in multiple northern cities like Shenyang, Changchun, Qingdao. And I'm also very happy to report that our pop-up store is doing remarkably well. So that's a positive. The second pillar that I'm now going to transition to is talking about nourishing our community. You've heard all our leaders talk today about how community is important to us, to our culture, and why we're uniquely placed to continue our growth in this market by continuing to make community a big part of our strategy. It's not clicking. Summer Sweat Games. I saw in the notes that most of you are familiar with the games, but I'm going to ground you a little bit on how we landed on this idea. In 2021, when I joined, I was given a few challenges. 1, how do we attract a male guest and acquire them into the brand, being a brand that was famous for yoga tights? 2, how can we insert ourselves into the guest calendar every year so that they remember us? And we thought, wouldn't it be great if we could own the summer months? 3, how could we raise brand awareness in all the key cities beyond Shanghai and Beijing? And 4, how do we find a way to showcase high-intensity performance product and demonstrate how these product attributes support our guests? So that was the birth of Summer Sweat Games. So how does it work, actually? So we say in Lululemon that stores are at the heart of our community. So we have our guests form teams of 4, 2 male and 2 female. So I let you imagine how the recruitment conversation goes. They compete first at the store level through a program of exercises that we publish with the help of our ambassador community. If they win, they progress to the city level. If they then win that, they progress to the regionals, and then finally at the finals. So you could imagine that this is really an activation that engages the full Lululemon store network, and it builds connection and understanding of our gear, not just for the guest. It's also for all the new educators every year that is coming into the brand as we grow aggressively and open new stores. So the Summer Sweat Games really has become something that we look forward to both internally and that our guests look forward to as well. We now have ambassadors and studios that prepare our guests, training for it 6 months to 12 months in advance. And this is a scale. So beyond Shanghai and Beijing, we really take it to a lot of regional key cities. We usually choose a space that is outdoors so that we drive visibility in that city. Aside from the competition part of it, we also set up at the regionals a sweat street, if you like, where we create games for walk-ins and for the public to participate when we are running the competition on site. Actually, the main road here, right outside of the hotel, Anyi Road, that's the full road that we take over when we do the Shanghai regionals. I'm going to leave you with a video. You have already seen snippets of this in everyone's presentation, but it was done for us to share with local press and on social, so it's in Chinese, but it gives you the kind of energy that you can expect to see at one of our events. Come and join us next year. Okay, I'm going to end the last part of the discussion today on well-being and why we think we are well-placed to be advocates for this in Lululemon. We believe everyone has the right to be well. And the key word there is everyone. So through our community model, this is really a unique position that we find ourselves in. In 2021, as a lot of you know, we launched our first well-being report. How do we dimensionalize well-being? The first pillar is being physically well. So I think that's pretty straightforward, right? The second pillar is actually being mentally well. And the third pillar is being socially supported and with a community that you identify with. And with these three is what we see as the holistic well-being that we want to advocate for, and we are uniquely placed to do that because we're not about winning. Yoga, as you know, is a practice, it's a conversation with yourself, it's breath work, it's inward looking. So every year during World Mental Health Day in fall, when we activate, you will see in the activities that we bring to life, at the West Bund and around the country, it is a variety of activities, including meditation, including sound bath, including yoga, run, walks. So it's really a moment to welcome all of our community into our midst. There are usually two components to it. One is thought leadership. So you would have missed these, but every year we look for contemporary voices, influential voices from different industries, bringing them together and have them talk and discuss about what it really means in the pursuit of well-being. What does it mean to be well? The second component is community. How do we invite guests in and show them what movement can really bring to their overall sense of well-being? Here I'm going to show you, clips from all the efforts that we've done over the past 4 years in China. It's a little bit quick. Okay, so the West Bund this year, so the artist element really for us is just to provide the framework. To provide the framework based on the research that we've done with the Wellbeing Report. And this year's was really about how urban living has impacted our overall sense of well-being and how nature is a natural antidote for that. So that's why we've partnered with Graphic Rewilding, bringing kind of nature through art into urban metropolises. You miss a lot of these events, so I thought I'll end with showing you some of the images on how our guests are sweating in the spaces that we created. And that's it. Recapping: product, community, and mindful movement and advocacy for well-being. Thank you.
All right, guys, we're going to start up with our final session. We have Gareth runs APAC. We'll be speaking. Megan will be speaking. We'll do We'll do Q&A. We'll do Q&A for about half an hour.